Blessings to all of you. May you get over the strength and willpower. Pinan. This has been a dream for me to come here. From the time I met this group in 15 years ago. So I could feel the spirit of Pinan actually. The people, some kind of history, some kind of destiny, that you have this great faith. You know, it's not a small joke to have this faith. It's a very rare quality. A dog doesn't have that. An animal cannot have it. It will wag its tail and all that. But this is a special faculty a human being, gets after many lives of evolution, spiritual evolution. Actually, end of our journey, if it is liberation from this cycle of birth and death, then this faith is a main kind of, you could say, a sign of a person coming towards that ending of that evolution. It's a rare thing. I was seeing that in Sri Lanka, but now I had to put Sri Lanka second. Yes, I don't know whether it's the monks who have created that. Maybe it's a combination of things. But still the monks, them alone can't do that. There are many monks who have gone to many places. So I'm glad to be with you all. It's healing for me also, after giving these teachings in so many countries as well as Sri Lanka and program after program. So I hope I can share something with you all. I can see a lot of young people too. So give me 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours, okay? So at least 1.5 hours should give me to bring my army to this place. And hopefully you will get some blessings for your path in terms of knowledge and in terms of energy. These are the two things I can give you. So, of course, the retreat, the participants of the retreat, I already gave them some information. But I have a very particular mission. In fact, 15 years ago, if you meet me, and now it's a different thing. I have been focusing on a very particular, you could say, theme or encouragement to everybody. It is that enlightenment could be practiced even in this day and age, and how to make your life peaceful and to have a different type of pressure which is not fleeting, which is everlasting, and also if it is pervading, it is wholesome. And that end of that pleasure will be liberation. Okay? So this is something now, when I see that in many of the organized institutions, the spiritual organizations also, which had initially some inspiration, they also have this underlying doubt whether this can be achieved. Okay? So it is unfortunate in a way. So even who I, sort of have some liking for their ideas, even they too, especially in Sri Lanka, I don't want to name, movements that was very, sort of become lively, but unfortunately it was not there for, you can't last long if it is not quickly, you are not solidly following that path towards that. If it's only kind of a slogan or a motto, some kind of, that will not last long. So, I must tell you that especially the original Buddha's teaching, this was already available to me when I was very young, when I was age of 18. Not for my parents. They have this traditional Buddhism of these rituals and pujas and all these things. So, especially my mother being religious, she had been studying all the texts and all that. But what was written about the Buddha's teaching by other monks and other writers? So there was a very big shift in my kind of search for truth. It started, I was telling today in the morning, I told that some of the things I might have to repeat in this program, and anyway, you might feel bored. It started all because there's some young people and I might share some things. It started all in Southern Africa, in Lesotho. But before going to Southern Africa also, I was interested in some search. Okay, it was like with my father, I remember when I was 8 or 9, I had actually a romantic idea about being a monk with a classmate, 8, 9 in our school. We imagined we both were monks and we were going around a tree, thinking it's a Bo tree, very calmly, very peacefully. So this was there for about 1 or 2 days. So during those 2 days, we stopped our fighting. So we were very naughty at that time, 8, 9, I was extremely naughty. So I remember with that friend, I used to have, like if you hit the liver, you become breathless. Okay. So what happened, we target to hit, our friends with other play, to hit to the liver. So I'll never forget that time, I used to put a board underneath and tell, come on, hit me. Kind of, and that is the time we suddenly got this thought, we are monks, both of us. We can't explain that, I don't think, without rebirth. Can you? I mean, to get suddenly a thought of this kind, and then both of us, it's funny, we were imagining we were monks and we were going like that, and we were going to run away from home, knowing our parents would not allow us to ordain. So we were planning to go to the village temple, and then we thought we would ordain. But after 2 days, this thought went away. But then this analyzing and contemplation was there after some time. And with my father's, like engineering kind of atmosphere, I was trying to design an engine that was working with water. And the reason was that with water, you can have, water is available so much, so that with water, you can have a vehicle that is easy running, forever. This is what I thought. So for a kind of exhibition, I never forget, there was a title I made, I was trying to have 2 engines and transfer the energy. I didn't know anything about friction and all that. It was like the age of 8, 9, 8, I would say, this same period, or a little more, maybe 10. So I called this non-stop machine. So there's some yearning for, something final, and so this way it went on. When I went to Lesotho, Southern Africa, things changed. And then I met these teachers there. So there I was very much interested in science, physics, especially about the theory of relativity. I don't know whether you are familiar. I'm sure you are. And especially in theory of relativity, near the speed of light, that time dilates. This was fascinating for me. Okay? Because it was really nice in that way that the theory was explained in a certain book in a cartoon form. It was a science book, very nice. It was one of my uncles who gave me. He didn't know that this would really change my life or my thinking, my meditation. It was my personal meditation. There was no Dhamma there. There was no temples, there was nothing, no monks in Lesotho, nobody at that time. In 1980s. So what happened? This was really fascinating, and I was reading other books also. I was very thirsty for knowledge. And then I came across, like the Bible and Quran. I didn't read very deeply, but Bible I did. And then the other texts, like my mother had so many religious books. And one of the book was very interesting. Of course, few books by Narada Thera. Are you familiar with Narada Thera? Maybe the old generation, they know. They really introduced proper Buddhism, in proper, like nutshell in Buddhism. It's one book my mother had. In that it has these realms, like earth, heavenly realms, and the Bambalapitiye, the higher worlds and the lower suffering worlds, and the lifespans. They gradually increase. So when you just read like that, it looks like fairy tale. Okay, if you had a scientific mind, it will be looking like fairy tale. So there's one book about the Sakka, the king of gods, who comes and meets the Buddha, and it explains about the realm of that Thavatimsa, his abode, how the time, the 100 years on the earth is one day, they are like that. And such weeks, such months, and so on. So when I read that, and then the theory of relativity, this was like, it is not a possible, it's definitely happening. These worlds do exist, because time can be, slowed down. So it doesn't mean that when Einstein found this, that this principle started to work. No, it was already working, it was already functioning. Only Einstein really became, he got to know about this. So with that, while I was thinking all these things, find that I have neglected my studies. Like IGCSE, I was having that. So some miracle had to happen for me to pass this exam. So what happened in the night, I don't think this is a good thing to hear for the young people. Okay. Anyway, you might have some belief or realization about the other worlds. And so anyway, that time I thought the King of Gods is powerful. So through relativity I used to build up faith. And then at about 12 o'clock in the night, when I used to feel that I have no doubt about the existence of that particular being and that plane, and that I know is powerful. And then I had the old test papers of English literature and English language. And the essay titles, few essay titles for English literature, essay, there's a lot of marks for that, like 40%. So after when I got this focus to that particular, when I knew, then I sort of guess 2 titles for English language and English literature. So then next day I told my father to go to my tutor and write 2 essays under these 2 headings. So my father also went. The day after was the exam, and my tutor was wondering, have I not studied all why I am focusing on just 2 kind of essay headings. And he wrote anyway 2 essays. And after that I went to the exam. When I went there, the paper I got, everything is sealed, and then when I got the paper, I looked at the test paper. These 2 headings are there. It was like I was not really interested in school or achieving something in school, really honestly. When I saw this, it was like, my thinking is like in the right direction. And like the universe was in my hand. I felt that joy, tell you honestly. So anyway, I got some good grades also. So later on, based on this, I had now this like a direction of thinking. Based on this, my thinking was going on, but it was not settled. I was still searching something. So another experience took place at the age of 18. But I must tell you, before age of 18, close to 18, I had a kind of premonition that some really change is going to happen after the age of 18. But I never dreamt that it's going to be this line. But I think this is the greatest change that happened. Okay? Because that time you don't know, you have your different type of values and, like maybe becoming the scientist or something like that. So, but anyway, at that time, meanwhile, I was going to enroll at Princeton and MIT, these few universities in States, to study astrophysics. Because I still thought astrophysics will give, if I study that in further science, I might get the answer. So then, while waiting for the results, those days I was very interested in sports also, playing cricket a lot. And I think if I left something to become a monk, it was cricket. Do you play cricket here? No? You don't have it. The Chinese are not too interested in cricket, right? But it was a British colony, right? Yeah. So anyway, then I pursued this. Then what happened? One day I used to go for walks in the evening. Its habit was there. So one day when I was going for a walk, like it was very nice nature. Caledon River and very barren area where my father's house was. So when I was putting a walk, suddenly this sort of nice solitude, the thought came, what is the cause for any phenomena? Like in the mind, like what is the cause for any phenomena? Now I'm teaching you all how to meditate from the suttas. This is the type of contemplation, like it's very, so what is the thought for any phenomena to happen? Like just not a very big detailed thing. Suddenly, like a flash, it came like, like what arises definitely passes away. But it didn't like that, it didn't came like that. I verbalized it. Anything that begins in time definitely ends. For this understanding, there's no beginning, therefore there's no end. And it was like something like, yes, this is it. And in my mind, there was a picture of a monk. And it came to my mind that I should be like this monk. I must become a monk. And monks are people that everything is going to pass away and they are just covering that last body just to make this vision come up again and again, or this understanding that I should do the same. And I should live in such a solitary places. That time I didn't know what's the purpose of being silent or the forest hermitages, why they are made like that. So because I was out of touch with Sri Lanka, then after that we came to Sri Lanka. Of course that evening I told my father I want to be a monk. But I didn't tell all these experiences. Only very later I am telling this what really happened or what I was experiencing. So then meanwhile I had other kind of yogic practice. Like naturally it was coming to me. Other things maybe I would have practiced in previous lives, like samadhi and a lot of compassion, and some other things were also coming. But this was main. So I came to Sri Lanka, and my grandma told me there's this special monk, a German monk, that you must meet. He comes arms round. So this is how my teacher was introduced to me when one day he came to my grandma's place. But I was so full of ego that I know everything. So I recognized him as a very special, like a very special being. He looks very saintly, very ascetic, really, when he came arms round, also so glowing, but he looks so simple too. So for my egoistic mind and, with all this knowledge, I didn't feel like I should go and meet him again. But I actually met him on the road in another place when I was going my motorbike, that I was going to meet a friend. Suddenly I saw on the road, like a giant figure walking. Then I realized that's the German monk, And then I parked my bike and then went running to him. And those days, I don't know, you don't have it here. I used to like this drink called smack. Do you have it here? I don't know. I think it's a Sri Lankan product, smack. It's like a drink, So I asked Bante, we don't say Bante actually, I used to say Venerable Sir. Venerable Sir, can I offer you this drink? Then he looked at me and said, this is not what we expect. We expect that you also follow this path. But anyway, he accepted the drink. That was like nearly 11:30, 12. So he, beside the road, the highway, like not a highway, like a road like this, busy. He, sat down and then took his meals with a palm spoon, and I offered. I still remember, I could open the, that. So he had a Swiss knife, He told me to give it to him, and then he opened it with the Swiss knife and gave it back to me, and I offered it. So then I explained to him about my ideas, about the emptiness, something I knew, in a theoretical way or some way. And he just told one word which made my ego dissolve, made me like an ant. He said something like this also in a thought or something like that. But that actually made me think, I must follow him, I must learn more from him. There's a lot of knowledge that I must get from Bante. Like that, then I waited until he went to the city, because it will take time because he's walking. And it will take at least 1 day, 2 days for him to come to the city, monastery. Then I met him, and then from the first time I meet him, I explain further his experiences. And he says, he used to tell, he told, it's maybe some karma behind it. And he told me that if you read Satipatthana Sutta, everything will be okay. And where to get the books. So those days we didn't have so many bookshops, so it was a small bookshop called Green Park. And he directed me. That's where my real meeting with the Buddha started. Okay? So there's something else, more things happened later. Still I had to balance with my karma. I had to make my parents happy, get their blessings. It took some time for me to understand that, but luckily I didn't mess that up. Because later I realized that solid foundation was the real thing for anything. Like even in jungle, later on as a monk, I was going through cutting through jungle and all that. And I was wounded, and I don't have compasses in the beginning, all the time. So, I used to look at the mountain and the sun, and then decide, and also the waterfalls, and then decide how I would navigate. So there's no pathways like bush. So one time I was all damaged, leeches, do you have them here? I don't know. So I had to remove them like this. Not just one, you can't remove, I had to remove not the legs especially, like this, and there are times I went like an animal, I had to crawl and go. So in this journey, there's people thought I had some psychic powers to come out of this jungle. If they really asked me, after I came out, actually some robbers also, they found me and they treated me. I say, after all, robbers, they're humans. And they're better than the worst animals, And they actually looked after me. They made some good karma, maybe next life they will not become robbers. And they really looked after the whole night and showed me the way finally out of the jungle. So if I didn't find them, you would not see me today. This one occasion I nearly lost my life. So there were several occasions. I was telling now when I saw them also, even from 14 years to now, even last year, previous years. Well, I was putting myself, this is my habit to put into a practice, certain practices which I got used to. So as long as I'm still I'm able physically. So this went on, this went on like this. So that was one occasion where that's why very important the parents' blessings, I see. So it took me 10 years to get my father's, blessings to where he finally sort of pushed me to become a monk. Before he was not sure what I was going to do and kind of worried. So anyway, as a young monk, when I became young monk, they invited me to states. That was in the beginning, certain people. I told them I will come to States or any other foreign country to teach when I become an Arahant. In a certain way, I actually meant it, that at least when I look into my thoughts, we don't know, it's just a name, Arahant. And we were not used to naming Arahant or Sotapanna. We were just used to looking at our own mind and introspecting what thoughts we are getting. And at least I should be convinced or happy that I am pure enough to give instruction to others. That I was very concerned. Even still I am concerned. So then I was not well from 9, 10, 11, 12 in the evening. So they got a doctor, but there's no medicine for altitude sickness. It's to descend to low altitude. That's the only medicine. We can give oxygen meanwhile and all that, but how long? So what happened when I, like around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, so I had to wait until 6 or 7, where they would take me to Takalakot, it's called, near Nepal, border in Nepal, where from there the helicopter or, so that was the only way to go descend very fast. So what happened, I was there around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It's like, I knew I can't like make it any further. Like, going, breathing hard for how long? And slowly you're losing, conscious. And so it is like there's nothing there. It's like a deserty place, like a wild west. And just this rugged kind of room. And then in that place, I was planning to prepare myself to die. And there's the practice that now I am giving to everybody, actually on this retreat specifically, which I have already been trained many years back with my teacher. How to face death, how to look at yourself from like outside, and look at yourself like objectively, not subjectively, or say as body, feeling, perceptions, and consciousness. There's a way of looking at you. So this practice I was about to focus on that, like looking from outside, like how you're seated maybe, or lying down. So when I was about to do that, another thought came that I couldn't share enough with the people, a kind of a regret. Then I thought, can't help it, next life I will do it. This was another thought I came before with the elephant. This was like later on, in the jungle, this also came something like this. Maybe I will relate that also. So what happened then, then after that, I started to meditate, and actually it's a long story what happened there. In the morning certain things happened, and slowly I was taken down very fast. Okay, I survived anyway, that's why I'm here today. So that was another reason. I didn't become an Arahant, but that was the real reason that 2017 I came to the public. That's the first time I ever went to accept the invitations from Australia first, and then States and US, UK and Europe, all these places. Then I toured. Then again I went to solitude. This because like 2018-19 I was in the Himalayas again and the Sri Lankan jungles. So then after that, it was 2 years ago, 2023, that it's another prompting. Maybe I will explain that because that's the main message I want to give you all now, is based on that, which now I made me to come again. So that was another experience. That's like 2 years ago. It was by my assistant who introduced me to a certain special yogi. I know in India, do you know about certain yogi? Do you know the term yogi? Or a sadhu? Sadhu is like a wandering monks in India also, in the Hindu tradition. So they develop samadhi, samatha meditation more. So now even in India, also in Sri Lanka or everywhere, people have lost faith with this more materialism in the society. They have lost faith about, the power of monks and so on. Okay? Of course, they see power with connection with politicians and wealth, but that's not the faith-creating power. That is coming from a practitioner, and that's coming from some people who have, developed certain powers themselves. So that is also in India lacking. But in that situation, there will be some special beings that will arise, who will show that. So it is one of them, one particular young monk. Monk means the Hindu way. He's like, he's performing certain miracles, like with the samadhi power. So people are attracted so much and started to believe. Okay. So my assistant in Buddha Gaya, his idea, he's an Indian person, so he's not a Buddhist also. He called me Buddha, what is this? Call him Buddha Baba or something like this. That's the name he gave me. So, but he has been attending to me from those days. So his idea of enlightenment is some kind of, if I perform some kind of miracle, Okay, like create chocolate and this is how his idea. So that's why he valued this particular person. So anyway, he will not normally tell me to go and visit somebody. So when he told me this, I thought, why not I will visit this person. So I went. It's like a like a mountain area, not a mountain area. It's a mountain, and very sacred mountain also. So when I went, he was not there, but I felt some special energy. Okay, special energy I was feeling. So I felt I could relate to that energy. And I came back. He was not there at that time when I went. So when I went another trip. It's a flight from, you have to take a flight from Delhi to that place. So when I went the second time, he was in the same flight. And he was there, and it was late night when we landed to that particular airport. There were very few people, and his security and everybody. So he saw me from far and he called me when he was in the vehicle. And then he asked me, are you going to that place? I said, yes. And then he told his people, please bring this Guru or Swami to my place. So we followed him. And then when we went there were 1,000 people there. Because they got to know he's over there. And it's like a small village, very poor, like a small, very simple place, his mother's home. So he also have gone for all these programs, and he was coming back to his monastery. And then he was going to see his mother first. So when we went inside, I was outside, then he called, the security called me inside, and there were a lot of people, few people, like known to him, I noticed, and he had a kind of a very special chair, and he talked something, with all others. He seemed to know everybody there, and they left, and he told me, I want to meet with you, and he kept me, and he brought another person who knows English, who can translate. His English is like, he's a village boy, but very pure soul. So what happened? Why is he famous? He normally calls the people in the audience with their personal information, maybe their name, surname, or their telephone number. Like that, he used to call them and tell them to sit down. And when they sit down in front of him, he used to have a blackboard with him, and he would write. He would write, and then he would ask, why did you come? What's your problem? They would say, we have cancer, we have this problem, or something, Then he has written the problem, and then a solution. Okay, some solution. He has done like a mantra to be chanted or do something like that. So that's how he's famous. So when I sat down, when I was there, he did the same. He didn't have the blackboard, but he told everything of my personal life. And then I met him so many times, though I don't have, use gadgets or keep addresses or anyway. Whenever so many crowd also, if he's there, he used to come to me or we used to meet. It was very fun. It was also a miracle. Then he told the reason why we are meeting like that. He said, previous life we have been brother monks. We have developed the same meditation, same power in this path, and definitely not the Dhamma way, but this is in the Samadhi way. So anyway, one day he told me that my practice was not enough. So I know all of you have listened to all this in the morning, right? You will have to bear this up, okay? So I must tell you, when I became a monk, before I was a monk, I used to analyze, contemplate the Buddha's original teaching, the real way of getting wisdom. That I did very thoroughly and deeply. Okay? And I had some experiences with my teacher. But when I became a monk, I lived a very tough life, an ascetic life also. Walking, for miles, and actually I used to walk, those days I walked across the LTT, the terrorist area in Sri Lanka, the Tamil, there was the insurgents in Sri Lanka. So their area I cut across those days, I had a lot of energy. That was all Samadhi energy. And also rain or, hot sun or whatever, I was able not to feel it, hunger or whatever. So walk miles and miles. This I did because then I inclined more to Samadhi. And this analyzing, this contemplation went down. Okay. And also I had to live with little rough I would say, I don't want to say that, I'm not telling with any this thing, because I was very strong that time, with certain brother monks too. In the monastery, they were like very competitive with me. My teacher was, giving me a lot of attention, and that's normal, you could say, and they admired me a lot. They were very older than me, but when there was a lot of this thing, that humanness was there. So all that I was able to, and they used to follow me. I used to guide them, the Pinda path and everything. But they didn't want to follow this young monk. So it was very, so it was a lot of, I had a lot of strength. My teacher was also there to clear my karmas, I would say. So I never, even now with a lot of love, I would think about them and wish them well-being. So, but I must tell you, you might be able to relate this if I tell you. So all that was there with samadhi. It was easy for me to not feel these things too much. So when I went on like this, I used to go to the Himalayas also, and then have this book, the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha's discourses, which is told to the Arhants, which it makes you to contemplate. This book I take, but few pages I read, but go back to Samadhi. So it went on for years. So until I met, now 2 years ago, so he told me my practice, that I can do more practice, more power I can develop. That's why he said that is not enough, and he encouraged me to go and practice. So I went back to Sri Lanka, did more, samadhi and normal practices I did a little more, and then also reading this a little bit, not too much. When I went back, I saw him from far and I said, "How is my practice?" He looked at me and said like this, Then I thought, oh, like mirror, mirror. Then he said, "Yeah, I will explain to you in the kuti, in the room." So when we met, he told me, "Your samadhi practice is good, your faith is good, but your no-me meditation is not good, not much, not enough." No-me means what he meant, his English is not very good, So like mine now, my Sri Lankan community has, killed my English. Okay. But they're great people, they're the ones who supported me. So when I came to the public, they're the ones, the main audience, so I had to read in Sinhalese and all that. So anyway, so he told me this no-me meditation is then I knew. Then he said that you have a book with you. If you read that book, all that part of your brain will start to open. And then he said, this is the highest meditation. If you practice this, we will have to search for you. Like that he encouraged me so much. Then I knew that, no, now I have gone too long. Okay. So when I went to Sri Lanka, I stopped this samadhi thing and this blessing things. Now I'm still doing it anyway, okay, because so many years. Then I took the book and I started by force reading the analytical part of the suttas. So not like before as a young boy, I used to do it in the right way, where you deeply contemplate, okay, with more samadhi and then reading. Not like that. This time I just read it very fast. So when I read very fast, without too much understanding even, I went back. Then when he saw me, when he met me, 80%. And then I was so encouraged. So when I went back, I started to read the next section called the Salayatana, which in the retreat you all will be doing. The 6 sense organs. When I did that, even also without understanding too much, 120%. So that inspired me to start these retreats and all this thing. So I knew the benefit. I thought I must give. Now I must start to give this. So that's how all these things started. So I now want to, just one important thing I want to emphasize, the importance of the Buddha's original words, the teachings, and up till now I see in the society, even who are valuing the Buddha's original teachings, they are called suttas. They have only known up till now, as far as I know, as a form of study. Just because it's in the book, it doesn't mean it is a thing to be studied. It's a magic book. That's how people are getting to know now. Because these words have visions. Visions of wisdom. Okay? So this is something it's so tiring for me to emphasize, and I have to rename, now normally you have Sutta studies, I have to tell Sutta meditation. It is not to be told like that, because it is coming from a being, a meditation being. It's a Buddha. And whatever comes out of his mouth, that is a Sutta. That's what we are recorded. They are meditation objects. Okay? So these are the ones that was spoken to the beings when Buddha was alive, that when it was told, they had those visions immediately. They were ripe for that. So now it is recorded like that. So unfortunately, it's kind of a line of practitioners from the ancient time, it got broken, I think. Where they started to study the suttas, and then it loses all that effect. So you have to live a meditative life, a pure life. While purifying your mind, you must keep reading. These are the only basic way. You read also, and then you meditate. You empty the mind. If these two are done, definitely something will happen to you in the direction of enlightenment. Okay? So now I will explain something that will help you to get enlightened. Alright? Maybe before I explain that, even as there are a lot of young people, I want to talk about, what will obstruct enlightenment, not only obstruct enlightenment, obstruct your peacefulness, peaceful mind, and that very much connected with, our sense. Now there are two types of pleasures. Okay? One type of pleasure of happiness is where you experience the sense objects. That's we are very familiar with. Are we not? That when we are eating food or with the phone and with any other, like sense stimulation, we are looking for that exciting happiness. Okay? So what happens when you experience those pleasures? You have something called craving inside us. That increases. Okay? So, this is a universal law by the Buddha. Where he says, Thanna pacchaya dukkam upajjati. Thanna nirodha dukkam na upajjati. Thanna means the craving is the cause, as well as, with craving arising, suffering arises. When craving decreases, suffering decreases. So this is told by the Buddha is a universal truth. Okay? So in a human being, if you arouse sensual pleasures and you enjoy that, what happens? You're not only enjoying the pleasure, the wanting, the neediness also increases in you. Okay? So you have to stimulate more than before what you were stimulated to be satisfied. So it just keeps on increasing the craving nature. Now what happens? More you increase craving, what happens? Your suffering should increase, according to Buddha. Do we not see that? We see people, they have maybe a lot of wealth, they have enjoyed everything, and who doesn't have the Dhamma practice? Okay? You find, look at their face. They have a long face. Isn't it? Like simple cultures, sometimes like Nepal or Tibet or sometimes, somehow with their culture also there's some reduction of that craving and simplicity has been brought into that. You can see that joy coming. Okay? So what happens? There is a sadness without a reason. When you go in that direction, there is a sadness, you don't know for what reason, unsatisfactoriness. And kind of a disillusionment or that shows in the face. Because we are all experiencing that, so we don't see the difference very much. Okay? Then we have that artificial laughter, just to cover it up. Or to show that we are happy. If we are really happy, we don't have to show. Do we? So this is the modern time, mostly this is the kind of, I could say dilemma or whatever. So then the other way is there. Where you are disciplining, you're controlling, maybe some things you are addicted to, you recognize that, and for 2 days, 3 days, you try to keep away from that. Slowly you build that particular, discipline, where you keep away, and then also there is a kind of happiness you get. Okay? You get self-confidence, and then you you also get some kind of, maybe sometimes immediately you feel bored and all that, but as you learn the path of discipline and self-control, you find the craving doesn't grow, it doesn't allow, you are not allowed it to start to reduce. Especially if you have spiritual feelings, you have to transfer that particular this thing. Especially, I tell people, actually it was recent now even our body, okay, when you have some sense impression, whether it is with food or whether it is with some other strong desire in sex or whatever it may be, then it creates a certain type of hormone in us. So normally when, like a cycle, when those things are created in the body, that creates those thoughts and those urges. Okay? So now, say for example, you control them with faith, with discipline, and maybe chanting and good ideas, good thoughts. And so when you do that, to a certain extent, when your desires decrease, something also has to be created in your body. So I was telling in the morning, one is called ojas. That is a Ayurvedic term. Ojas is a kind of a opposite. When desire is there, what is formed in the body? When desirelessness is there, when there's absence of desire or dispassion, then something gets created. When you get like tranquility or peace of mind, something gets created. And that is called ojas, especially in devotion, in faith. So this kind of substance goes to the brain. It opens up areas of the brain that was not open before and get deposited. And then it creates those thoughts that like a chain reaction, or a chain reaction like a cycle. This substance that is created in you makes you have those thoughts. And those thoughts makes those substance again. Like that it increases. And so if you do more of that, your body starts to change. Your skin starts to change. Your aura starts to change. And you get actually a baby skin. This is okay, baby skin and a shine actually. So you get a shine in your cheeks and your forehead. So I tell, don't lose that shine. It shows your character also. Not, it's in general, okay? Some there is good karma, even they have murdered so many, they look shiny. Okay? There are some cases, very rare cases like that. Okay, people can't even imagine that they have been up to those things. Okay, I know drug addicts also never imagine that they are up to, because they look so, respectable. That is, there are some good karma. Okay, also still there. So anyway, this shine is there. Shine will come. So don't lose that shine. So I was telling them in the morning, it's better than New Year and all that. Okay, this is a charm. I know like they apply all this New Year and all this, but it looks something odd. I remember my finance controller when I used to work. I was very observant because I was practicing meditating also. And she was with all this lipstick and all these things. Really when I saw her, I was noticing while she was telling about our work or something. It was like to a dead mummy or dead body you put this. There was no real life, It's like all drained. Then I was really thinking in my mind, don't know what she's up to, for such an energy to be like that vital energy. Okay, you have it in here, the chi energy, right? Chi, right? It also comes with character, you can harness that. So it's very similar with the character. So this is very important. So I just want to tell about the pros and cons, so you get an idea. So the danger of sensual desires also I'm very important to elaborate more. Especially with the phone. You see, if you really want to do something, because it opens up, it's a device. It opens up the Gnanaloka, the sense world so much, too much. Okay? So I know one girl, actually she was like a devotee's daughter, devotee's granddaughter. So she was sent to an international school. They were very poor people. And though they can't even afford, but they were thinking beyond their means, so they just somehow put her to these schools. But they didn't have no idea that these schools have, both sides, like you have the Western culture there, and not only the education and the polishness, but this other aspect also there, they had no idea. So what happened, she went, and I know when she was born also, I have seen that as a monk. I think few children I have seen, and I see they are very special children. They actually I would say one day would go on this path in a great way. But even such people, they will have their dark moments. Okay? So it is a case like that with this girl. So at a certain age, when she was going to this high school, international school, she went astray. So the parents want me to meet her, to see in one of the sleepovers. Do they have it here? I don't know. Even in America, other countries, I get to know they have the sleepovers for young children. So one of the sleepovers, they encountered a certain situation where she, got into wrong company. And then she, for like 2 years, she was looking very different. So when she was coming to meet me, the grandmother was there. And while she was coming, she told, the grandmother told the granddaughter there when she was coming, "Daughter, have you taken a bath?" And I was wondering why she was asking like that. And she just came, she said, "Yes, Acha." And then she came and sat down. And she told everything. Actually, the grandmother or anyone, they don't know a word of English. So she really confided with me. Like she knows that, I am not a person who could be judgmental, and she could open up. So she really told everything what happened to her. And that she met this, certain people, that she was introduced to wrong things. And for 2 years she has been addicted to the phone. Addicted means seeing not good things also. Okay? She actually told me, you can guess what it is. So when she was with that, now recently, like 1 month, 2 months back, that around her she's getting the smell of poo or feces. I don't know, do you understand? If my mother was there, she might correct me. I hope it's not a rude word. Okay. So she was getting, though, I could understand how it is happening, because you are creating those thoughts that are full of, you could say, greed, lust, and then you open up certain dimensions. Okay? So those beings start to come to you, and they are surrounding you. And then what happens? So that if they are made up of that matter, that material, and they have that this thing, they will be sending that smell around you. So that's why when you have bad conduct or bad thoughts, this actually generates, you could say a bad order around you. And good thoughts, if you become character, if you become purified and you have good thoughts, then it is said that your order, or you're having good sila, that your smell or the order goes to the Brahmalokas. Yeah, that why you should become virtuous, why you should be careful, especially games. It's so dangerous. You could see that, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Am I right? His name. He's the one who got this Facebook and all these things. There's so many court cases for him. Why? So many children have committed suicide. Those whatever applications from the internet, and especially the games. It is well researched that when you are playing games, the neurons, the type of neuroactivity that is similar to a heroin addict. This research was done long time ago. I knew about it. So you can imagine why we so get addicted and then commit suicide. So it's not their control; you're controlled by other beings. You are inviting lower beings to you. So this is something you must be very cautious. I know you can't be without phones, that's not practical now modern time. For GPS, for your work, so many things. But be aware. And these short videos, calling TikTok and all that. I know one lady told me, Bante, I like the Dhamma in those short videos. I don't want to listen to. Then she doesn't know that by that time I had great research on this. Short videos mean short attention. Your attention span is slowly decreasing. It's not a big development. You're going down. Animals have short attention span. That's why you have to keep on, they can't just stay like this. They'll be doing like this, See your dog or your puppy or whatever. So you're bringing your abilities to an animal level. So this short span is not a good thing. So you must be able to, and then this blue light in the phone, okay, it's called doom scrolling, right? Doom scrolling. It's a nice name, doom scrolling. You are doomed. Okay. So this is actually, this is known, very nice English words have vanity box, for example. How nice the English, it means a lot, right? Vanity box. Do you know the vanity box? I mean, you don't seem to be very surprised by it, okay. So this is very important to know. So the other one is the blue light. That also I found out. The blue light is supposed to damage your pituitary gland, the serotonin in your which gland is it? The exact gland which makes you to think and to concentrate and all that. That gland is being damaged. I call it. I remember in Sri Lanka I used to explain. It is called the pituitary or am I right? I'm not sure. There's a liquid-like thing in there. So that's get damaged. It's well found. So that is the thing that makes you have balance and cognition and so on. So now knowing this, they have put a screen, white light for blue light. The blue light they have put a screen. So they are trying to sell it and keep it going. Okay, but there are other countries like Japan. I got it right now. Whether you have it here, like 2 weeks. 2 weeks they remain, like they call it, detox from the technology. Okay, so because there's so much dopamine now in the short videos and all that, why the dopamine is so much release that it is like even like alcohol or any other thing. Why are we so get addicted? Because dopamine is really so much. Okay, so it's an addiction for dopamine. So these things you might have to, like late night using the phone, and as you get up, use the phone. So these things you have to really correct something. Our life is very short. And even like great people like Elon Musk and all these people who have been billionaires and were successful in any type of field in this modern life, you could see that they have this one special secret. I have known about it. That they make their mind empty. But this must be unconsciously they are doing that. In the morning as they get up, they don't have a kind of, they make it restful, and then they don't sort of, and also what they are postponing or what they want to do immediately, they make a note of it in that empty mind. These are very important points, but not to become like that, even to do make sure that you don't postpone tomorrow, because you rewire your thinking. So that's very important. As in the morning, something you postpone and sort of say tomorrow. So that you can change this kind of, this is going to make you not develop in anything. Okay? So for that, just to make sure you make the empty mind. So I tell you can do that, which I also do with Metta Bhavana and Anapanasati, so that you have a small experience, a taste of peace, empty your mind, and then you can start the day. Okay? So that's a different practice that, and when you go out, you have 2 practices you can do. One is sense control, not to take impressions from the outside, and other one is mindfulness in the present moment. Okay? So like you cross the road, you can see the vehicles, but you don't look who is inside the vehicle. This will reduce your monkey mind. Okay? These are practices you can start. And then when you go out, to pay mindfulness, when you're driving, to feel the steering wheel, and then to feel the back touching the seat. Like this, you have to develop those things specially, it won't come naturally. You have to remind again, maybe you can remember Bhante told like this. So, but important thing is to start in the morning. You must get that, like for namesake, you don't do some prayers or something. You get an effect, you get that peacefulness. Forget all the tensions, what you have to do for the day. Maybe some work will get neglected by that way. And when you start with that initial boost, like you wash your face or brush your teeth, then you will do your work without feeling mentally tired. Okay? That must be practical experience. So you're changing your type of happiness to have that peacefulness and be in the present moment. And no stress, no anxiety. These things will be foreign to you. Okay? then that will be helping you to do more deeper research about life. Alright? So this is a way of life you must, I think, if you want to be a meditative life, you must start this. From young age, find what you are addicted to, maybe the phone and other things. Think 3 days, how am I going to stop that? Like that you increase the days. So that's how also you must start. And then you can start also tomorrow itself. Start Metta Bhavana, Anapanasati a little bit. Center yourself and then go out of your room. Then maybe after that wash your face and so on. This is how I do. Okay? First I wash my mind, then I wash my face. It's true. Because I think for many years it's happening. So anyway, now I must go to some very specific, some special things I want you to get. So I explained today that, like when you're close to dying, depending on what type of karma you have done, I will explain to you like this. Now, according to Buddha's teaching, we have like what we are made up of. That is the body we have, and then we have consciousness. Okay? Now, consciousness is a word consciousness, the phenomena of consciousness. It's there all the time. But it is not known, in the Western science, neuroscience or whatever. They are still trying to think that consciousness is part of the body. It's still under research and it will never be found that way. Okay? But the Eastern philosophies they were aware of what consciousness is. Okay? The rishis or the bodhisattva, they already knew. Okay? And that consciousness is related with past karma. That relationship also they knew. Because with some meditative samadhi power, they are already able to research, go through deeply inside, intuitively to things. They had that divine eye. When they saw a person, they saw the karma that was going on and the deed they did in previous lives for them to have that type of consciousness or the type of, what you're conscious. When you're conscious only, you experience something as pleasure, as pain. As an unconscious person, do you experience anything? Do you? Oh, are you unconscious right now? While I'm speaking. I hope not. Okay, I can see a smile, that means you're conscious. Okay. So this is very important. So these two things are mainly, so Buddha's time, as a bodhisattva, how they want now, they knew they must escape this karma creating nature. So now when they are reaping the karma of the past by getting angry or greedy in simple terms, now not to get greedy and angry, how to do. So they develop a method of practice. So one is a discipline of fasting and mindfulness also they had it in those days to a certain extent. And they also had concentration, samadhi. Okay, meditation with sila. Sila samadhi was there in the bodhisattva or in the other times where they were searching for truth. So what happened in samadhi, they found they enter a state where there is no anger and greed. They took that as nirvana. Or they took that as liberation at that time. Okay? So because they have no anger and greed, there's no karma created there. They go to the higher worlds, Brahmaloka. But the problem is, as a bodhisattva, the last birth, he realized that it is a temporary state. It is also a consciousness. But they call it pure consciousness. Whether it's pure or whatever, it is still a consciousness. Where there's consciousness, there's name and form, and there's rebirth. So how to escape from consciousness? This was the unique finding of a Buddha. That is not from another consciousness, but from wisdom. Okay? So that is something, how the Buddha became Buddha was when he had that particular wisdom of seeing the conditioned nature and to see the nature of universal impermanence and to have dispassion from that. Now even samadhi is a state of dispassion from the five senses. Okay? When you have, that's why who are trying to get samadhi, they control the tasting of food. Tasting of course no phones, or no such a stimulation and mindfulness. And then you can get samadhi. Just because you sit down in a posture without doing all this discipline, you don't get samadhi. You have all the memories of indulging. Okay? So it is a kind of a memory, that how you performed, how you lived your time, that will affect when you sit down. You don't need to sit down. When you're walking, you get samadhi. It's a natural thing. Sila brings samadhi. Okay? So, so this Buddha, this main finding was through wisdom, through panya, how to escape from this karmic process. So this was a very main finding. Now you have two things. Okay? You have, now in Buddha's teaching, you have like 5 khandhas. Okay? You have heard about it? Who has not heard about 5 khandhas? Buddha says about, we are made up of a body and consciousness, but he explains what is in the consciousness. We have, how do we recognize we are conscious? Say we are unconscious, somebody hit us, maybe Bruce Lee hit us. Okay. I used to like him, he was my hero in the beginning. When I was young, I was naughty. Okay. I used to practice his shots. And I was small made until I went to Sri Lanka. Until I went to South Africa. And I had this inferior complex, I guess. So, even I used to show off of course I had a strong will, but a small body. So I used to have this, 3 stones kept, and I used to break in front of my friends. Okay, and I hid there, and then I will not show the pain, And like few days, they would not see me. I was bandaged. So this was those days, actually. And I see he had some meditation, and he was like a very good, I would say, a great hero for the Chinese and not to the world in general, to use their gut energy. Okay. So anyway, for meditation, you need the same. These are the ancient powers, you activated, enhanced. So anyway. What I was going to say. If I stop this trend, I will have, the 5 khandhas, thank you very much. So kind. The 5 khandhas. So the 5 khandhas is the way the Buddha explains of a person. Okay, we have a body and the consciousness, he breaks down. He's the only person who breaks down, the consciousness. Nobody can, really break down like that because it's just a moment of consciousness. So, he breaks down into, now say someone hit you, you became unconscious, okay? And how, when you come to consciousness, what happens? Say your ears start to work. How do you know? You will begin to feel. And what you feel, you begin to perceive. Perceive as, maybe you will recognize that's the person who hit me. And then you will react. Definitely you will react either to hit back or to run away. Okay? So this is how that will happen. Okay, it's very clear. So now if you take it slow motion, we have the ear and the sound waves. Based on these two, there's the initial attention. That initial attention is that like something happened. That is the initial consciousness. It's like an attention, manasikara is called. So both 3 coming together, you have the corresponding consciousness, ear consciousness. Okay? Now if you put a sound wave to the eyes, it will not happen. If you put a sound wave to the ear only, so it has its own domain. So when you get that consciousness, there's in that consciousness feeling, a sensation. That is called the feeling aggregate. Okay? What you feel, you will be immediately perceiving, judging, measuring. That's called perception. As pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. And when you perceive it as pleasant, there's something that reacts with greed, and unpleasant with hate, or if it is neutral, with delusion. This reaction is called sankhara. Okay? So this is karma. If you think with that kind of anger or greed, that will be mind, mano sankhara, or mind karma. If you speak, it will be vachi, or word karma. And if you act with that, it will be body karma. So this is the karma, 3 ways you make karma in the Paticcasamuppada, the condition links. So because you have ignorance, you have no knowledge, you have not seen the Dhamma as impermanent or no self, you are reacting all the time. Okay? So all the time you'll be creating karma. It's a nature's law. If you don't believe in karma, I would say you must go through, read Edgar Cayce, Many Mansions. Okay, people have lot of new people here. So Edgar Cayce, many mentions. I tell, don't believe karma and all that also. This is he was called the miracle man of Virginia, and in his book, his case studies, he used to go into an unconscious state and diagnose people's problems and give solutions, which worked. Sometimes poison was administered to some of the sickness, and the parents, they had so much belief in him, gave it to the child and they became well. So he was well known, and there are all these case studies. He was unconscious and he was coming from a Christian background, but he used to tell about previous life, certain things you did in the previous life, especially about the Crusaders' time when Jesus was there. And sometimes people want to do a lot of social service. They have seen Jesus from far away, and they saw that compassion and all that. And this life, that is working in their subconscious. So many stories like that. It's very nice. It proves very nicely about karma and rebirth. Okay? So I told about in the morning about a lady who was very spiritual in New York, and she was showing her hand for advertisements. Right? Very beautiful hand she had, and for jewelry and all that it was used. That was her living, how she lived, or the livelihood. So that was her career. So what happened, she had some other problem and she went to Edgar Cayce, and to see she has been a nun in the previous life. And the beautiful hand she has got was the nunnery. She has cleaned, I'm picturing something when I say this. She has been cleaning the toilet and everything using her hand. Now everybody will be cleaning toilets. Want to be beautiful. Yeah, it just with faith, with faith and all that you do, that's karma is, especially to a spiritual thing, and that's how she got that. And like that, there are so many stories, very interesting, because some things you have suppressed within your mind, that has become mind karma, and how it, like in a peculiar way, taking place in this present life. So if you have time, you can go through that. So this is the way, this process of, consciousness, and then how feeling, perception, all this happens. So you must have some idea of this. So this is what we call our self also. The idea of self doesn't come to thin air. It is to some matter. So the material or like the flesh and blood, what is made the body, that's what we think is me, I. Other one is feelings. We think the feeling is I am feeling. That's how we think. But if we analyze, contemplate, then we realize this it's just a cause and effect thing. Something touches you, then you get the feeling. When the touch is no more, the feeling is no more. If you begin to meditate and contemplate like that, you will see this is not never has been a person there. Okay, because of your lack of observation, contemplation, you have always got this. So now we are in this meditation. So when you have developed like that, if someone comes shouting at you in the office or at home, I know wives, when the husband is shouting, they have practiced like that, and and it's only I have heard from wives, not the husbands. They have not come to me. So it can be practical, that's how it should be. So that karma, that type of scolding or very nagging, normally it's not nagging husbands, it's nagging wives, right? So if you had some karma like that, now if you don't react, that will be your last time you're going to have this experience. If you react and you feel upset and you could keep inside anger, you're creating seeds of karma again. Okay, I'm telling you listen to this recording again, if you want to practically master this. Okay, and come out of this cycle, this mess actually. Whether it's in office, in working places, but you have to train it in a certain way as daily training. Then only you develop that faculty to look at the world like that. Otherwise, you just listen to a discourse like that, it won't happen. You have to, like an art, it's a skill. That's why you are it will look very odd in the world if you don't react. It will look amazing. Because it's not normal normally it looks, so we are normally very ordinary. So if you can become extraordinary and evolve being by practicing these things. Okay? So now actually I want to explain a very special this thing. The last moment, like when you are very old, okay? You find people who are like, like not dementia, they get this schizophrenia, I think they know you hear voices, schizophrenia. Any doctors? Or schizophrenia, like you hear voices of people talking. Okay? Like your grandmother, grandfather, or even your parents. So it was in such a case with the old person that I know very well. And when I went there, I understood, like he was hearing the voices of his mother and father. And he was old and he was about to maybe die. So I know their history, I have heard about their mother and father, especially the mother. She had been very religious. She had done so many, katina, so many katinas in, of course that's a very heavy meritorious thing. Definitely, I think if you get opportunity to do all these good deeds, but don't think that is Nibbana. That's all I want to tell. Like we are very satisfied, we go to the temple, we do some good deeds and all that. You must now make sure that you reach the highest blessings of a Buddha. That is that you develop this skillful state of mind as a human being, and then you lose fear for death and old age or any adversary, and that you have that constant peace of mind, and that you are not worried about next life because you know how you are living, what will happen to you. Okay, you go for a more happy state of existence if you have to go. Alright? So this is the very main message I want to give. So I was wondering, so he was hearing these voices. So nobody know, like they will bring psychologists and give some medicine to subdue or to make the person, that's more drowsy and all these drugs. So when I met him, I knew what was happening to him. I knew that he's about to die, and he was also involved in too much the material world, the sensual world with family attachments and the working, his career and all that. But he was involved with the sasana also in a big way. So now his relations, who are actually not dead properly. In the modern times, people don't die also, that's another problem. Because they never prepare for death and they have so much attachment, they are born into a certain plane which is actually like they are with the same awareness of, because they are still attached to those relations. We call the ancestral plane. Okay? So this is, I see that they were born in that particular plane, but they have been all this time with him. Okay? So attached to what he's doing and so on. And then, now when he's about to die, it's coming very clear. Now I tell some people, actually who are not meditating, who are not releasing their consciousness to a higher consciousness, your grandfather, your grandmother is in you. Okay? I know there's a great silence now. Okay. I'm revealing some secrets. So actually we are not freely doing. Actually at least your grandmother, grandfather likes you to come to the meditation retreat or a meditation monk. If you didn't have such ancestors, they would chop you from far away. They will take you to a bar or a nightclub. It's also these connections come based on your karma. Doesn't mean they come and your life changes. It is matching your karma. You get the external, you could say the beings you meet in the external world, okay, as relations, as co-workers and so on, and the invisible world also you get those beings. So in majority of cases, it is your ancestors are in you. It is by taking still and meditating and actually at least coming to samadhi. That's why in the morning how important it is for you to meditate and to get an experience in meditation, not just sit down and drowse like this. You have to master the art of it. I feel very distinct because the type of food you're eating, type of lifestyle, make that so lethargic. Little bit I notice here and there. I don't want to tell this thingly, but I think your type of food you must change. Or not type of food, I think the food is good. I do something, I don't know you very well, what may be happening. But that lethargy should go away from your system. It should not happen. There's something, even in Sri Lanka this is there. So I hope that cosmic energy and everything will give you that vital thing for all of you. Maybe I will disappear very soon. Okay, but anyway, this I think is necessary just to start your evolution and your meditation, and that you're free from these lower influences. Okay, lower influences that are desires, even in the seen world and from the unseen world also. And there's a lot of new things I'm revealing. Okay, I hope that now these talks. So then that's why the importance of attaining samadhi is very important. So anyway, then they did so many good deeds. I know this family, the 1940s, 1930s, 40s. They even made a lot of monasteries, and they did so many Katina Pinkamas, and they went to Burma for so many retreats those days, and by train they have gone to Buddha Gaya so many times. Like that I have heard. And they observe the moon cycles, the precepts, all these things they do. But I was wondering what happened to them? What made them go like that? Then I understood, though they have done these good meritorious deeds, they have not reduced their desires for the sense objects like their family, their relations. That doesn't mean you go to jungle or Himalayas. You must achieve that state of detachment and release of your attention from the memories and the present thoughts in your morning meditation. Okay? So those thoughts doesn't get a hold on you. Whatever relationships you're having in the family and in the working place. So then you learn to do the work mechanically, without those attaching and kind of reacting emotions. Okay? So this you have to train as a Buddhist if you want to really achieve something. So I was thinking what happened. Then I was thinking, this is like a transit lounge, You have not got a plane flight, a proper life, with a body and this. So I found there are two transit lounges. Okay? One is who have done good karma, but still have not been to their desires, and still their judgment or what's the next life, the karma has to be judged. Okay? So whatever deeds, they are all recorded actually. There's a time where there's another aspect of nature where like your files are kept, the files are taken out, and after 3 months or 3 years, then you are decided whether to go to human plane proper or to Gnanaloka. And there's another transit lounge down. That's not good. If one is born, especially if one has with very fear and anger died, Okay. This can happen if you don't train like this. So now some people, I hope I'm revealing, and this is my mission. I had time to research and go and find out these things. So I hope it will help you. So I see people who have done good deeds, a lot of social service. There's one lady, and she like eye camps and this and that. Actually, they were believing certain gods and so on, more than Buddhism. So I didn't force them also. They were like my second mother. But they were like involved just in social service, and that was their religion. So latter period she was having cancer, and she came to the retreats, 1, 2, and I remember she was talking a lot. But as she is very close to me, I had to tell the volunteers to tell who is that lady. I was wondering who is talking. And it should be silent zone. Of course, if they saw me, they get frozen. But then they have to remember. But of course, she was talking with my mom, I think. They were both in the retreat. So, but anyway, she had to die. And then I as a monk, and whatever way I could, I would try to find who have given me something. Definitely I will try to repay them back. I will also try to follow them, what happened to their next life. So it is like they died with anger. Like why this is happening to me. Or the pain, trying to struggle. So that is certain karma they have to go through like that. So I can think that this was not enough. The karma they did in the human plane is not enough. So they are born also in another like a transit place. So I don't know, I have to find ways how I can also I have some idea, but I don't know. I'm not a Buddha, but at least as a yogi, how to be a help. So anyway, the decision is dangerous, right? It can be decided to go to a lower plane or to go to another like the spirit world. That's the best option. So all these beings benefit when you meditate. Okay? I will tell you, have you heard about the Temiya Jataka? How to help these beings? Have you heard of Temiya? Buddha's one birth story? In Buddha's one birth story, many births he was born to perfect to become the Buddha. So in one of these stories, it's called Temiya. He was the prince. He recalled previous life, he was a king. No, he was in, what is this place? Heaven. Okay? Before heaven, he was in hell. Before hell, he was a king. So the deeds he did as a king, ordering and giving judgment, he went to hell. And after long periods of suffering in hell, he went to heaven due to maybe he had good karma for many lives. Okay? And then he came to human birth, a king's family. Okay? So now he knew he would become a king again. So he had this previous memory, due to his strong, some previous life meditation maybe. So he lived like a vegetable. It's a nice story, you have never heard, nobody? So, he pretended he was remembering this, so he pretended he was like a vegetable. So each stage of his life, the parents start to tempt him, all sorts of things. When he was small, with toys, with this and that, and then when he was big, with other temptations. But he remembered that and he remained like a vegetable. Finally, the kingdom got to know, the peasants and all that, they got to know there's such a prince and it's like ill omen. So then finally the king had to take him and sort of abandon him near the Himalayas. So he became like a great yogi. And in the Himalayas, and finally the king and the queen also came and saw him, and that is a nice one. He saw that he was so bright and so vibrant. He asked, living in this forest or in the Himalayas, the mountains, how are you so looking happy and bright? He said, we don't think of the past. We don't send our thoughts to the future. And then we focus on the present moment. So this is like essential spiritual practice to live in the moment. Okay? So his parents also became monks or nuns. And the entire kingdom, 3 kingdoms, another 2 kingdoms came to conquer, they also entered. So they say there's a huge monastery, all over, all of them were kept there, and he guided them to Gnanaloka. He guided them in Samadhi. And the vibrations that emanated from them struck the animals who were roaming about, the horses and the elephants, and they went to Devaloka. So if you want to take your puppy or your dog to Devaloka, then meditate, don't attach. Okay, I'm not joking. Right? Yeah, this is the thing. If you get attached, you will become a puppy. This is going to happen because your consciousness, my teacher used to explain, he used to tell that human beings, who do we see very, very clearly? We see human beings and animals. That means our consciousness is close to where? The human plane and the animal plane. Okay? How many of you used to question me, how many of us see devatas? Okay? We don't. Of course, if you raise and we are very faithful and all that, so if you practice also, we get that because we are touching that consciousness also. We are raising our consciousness to a higher plane. Okay? It should happen like that. If it not, then we are in contact with these lower planes and our activities also will, tend to... So, this part, so I was thinking now in this transit lounge, so many merits they have done, doing Katina Pinkama and all these things. So I was wondering, it's like, it must be a comfortable place in a certain way, but stuck. Alright? So I thought whether there is KFC there, to pass time, but it's not a thing to be joked, it's a very serious matter. Really, because, it might be our own ancestors and own beings and our lives too, if we don't correct this part and have attachments too much, and if you don't bring meditation and that peacefulness as a normal experience out of all these addictions, we might, I'm sure this is going to be a turning point, and you start the meditation and to free yourself from any other influences so that you are a fresh being, that you can do things as you wish. You can go on, not influenced by any unseen forces. So now, I want to add to that with that background story. I think I told to remind me this, okay, to somebody and to you, right? I think I told the part I want to tell about the last moment you were telling, sir. So now, when you die, the last moment, what you have accumulated, the type of karma you have accumulated, that will bring a thought for you, okay? Now, for example, for this program or retreat or even this talk, you would have heard from somewhere, you would have seen in a poster or something. That is your karma for you to see. But because then karma is there, and then you have desire. Maybe you have done meditation, you have lived this life in previous lives. So it resonates with you. And you think maybe I can get something from. So because you have that similar karma done in the past lives, okay, you have that desire. So that desire is there, and then you make a move. You find the address, and then you come here. Now you experience the karma. Same way rebirth. When rebirth happens, what you accumulated, the type of karma, especially now I said, now like the people like that who have interacted in the sense world, they accumulated karma in the sense world. So they get the last thought, something from the sense world. Like maybe remember your parents or children or someone who was working with you. That will come. Okay? So two things happen the last moment. One is your last breath and the last thought. Okay? So picture yourself, normally, okay, if you have craving, you have attachment, and the karma, because of karma you get a thought. Now you have heard a teaching from me or somebody that you must focus to the breath when you're dying. Okay? So someone was interacted like that. When he's dying, when he remembers, oh, Bhante told me to look at the breath, do you think he can then suddenly look at the breath? Or will he be distracted by that last thought? People who have come today, or not today means to the program, what do you think? Distracted. No, it's one of who have been here, right? Okay, we don't have time, so I will. It's distracted. Okay? So when you get distracted, what happens? I told you how the consciousness arises. Okay? Consciousness needs an object. This is a mind object. And you have the brain, okay? And then the mind object is there. Therefore, do you see there's causes for consciousness to arise? Do you see? The mind, the thought is there, that's an object. Okay? And then you have the brain and the organ, okay? The mind. And then you have the craving, so you get distracted, you pay attention. So if these three are there, will consciousness arise or not? Consciousness will arise. This is something my teacher told is deep, I'm introducing you, okay? So the consciousness will arise. So, if consciousness arises, what happens? There is what? Name and form and rebirth. What do you say rebirth, how the rebirth happens? It's not a body that is reborn. It is a rising of a consciousness. Okay? First in a mother's womb maybe, or in another womb. Okay? So now to explain this more further, you think of an anagami. Have you heard of an anagami, a non-returner? Why is he called non-returner? Because he doesn't return to the sensual plane. He has no karma in the sensual plane, nor does he have craving for the sense objects, 5 sense objects. But still he is attached to meditation, samadhi, okay, dhyana. And it's a feeling too. It is a peaceful feeling. Okay? So now when such a being is dying, when the last breath goes, do you think he can concentrate on the last breath? Or is there anything that he can get distracted to? What do you think? Just think. Is he completely free from craving? And is he free from karma? Okay, I will tell then. So due to karma, what kind of karma? Meditation karma, I will call it. So he has meditation karma. And here's meditation karma means for peace. Okay? Peace is a feeling. Okay? So that peace comes as an object. So when there's an object, consciousness will arise or not? It will arise in a subtle form, a subtle consciousness, a subtle feeling. That is called the Brahmaloka, the higher loka. And from there, of course, he will continue, he will not come back. Yes, he had wisdom also. So, just picture that. Now think it happened to you. You become an arahant. You have no cravings, no karma. Alright? When the last breath goes, will you be able to keep your attention there? You are not attached to the breath also. Okay? You are not attached to anything. That's why you are called an arahant. Alright? Just think, if you keep your attention, will you be able to hold the attention without attaching to the breath or anything? Your zero attachment. You will be able to. So will there be conditions for consciousness to arise? No condition. My teacher is to explain this and tell it's deep. And I also want to warn you, it's deep. Just to give you an idea, one day if you want to meditate and read these books and read the original words of the Buddha and make them a meditation object, this is like a sample for you to what, in which direction you must think. Okay? It will stimulate for you to think, because that thinking will bring that highest wisdom, and the wisdom is the one that liberates you, the Buddha's teaching. Okay? So, I think I explained something this thing, all of you have this book. We'll just do a small exercise of meditation when you go home. Maybe you can do. I will do today the metta meditation also. I'm spreading for the audience who have come. Okay? So they will, because I feel they are like my relations, I have been Penang has been a special place for me. So I thought I might. So you can, in the morning tomorrow, you can, start, you can try. Okay. And when I'm going in the end, I will give you a small gift from my mind. Alright? I hope I have the nerves still. Today is like in the morning a session, and then afternoon a session. 3 sessions. Okay. But I'm very happy. I'll also love you to have questions. Okay. We'll do this quickly. Okay. This is like in the Buddha's time, the body or the material world was seen in terms of elements. Okay? In the ancient time also, in China also they had an idea that, the fiery nature, the heat, then the solid nature, and then the watery nature. Okay? Like this, the four nature, that's how they used to look at the material world. Alright? Not in terms of electrons or atoms. So now, they were called elements, okay? So this is a meditation that you can, like when you are meditating, when you are reading a book like this, you must relax and sit down. Okay? Or lie in your bed, not in a sleeping posture, but in the erect spine. You must sit down. Okay? While you are seated, you must learn to bring your attention to the present moment. How do you do that? Pay attention to the sounds that you hear immediately. So now you can do. Very silent. But you can hear like maybe the fan or the air conditioning, sound of a machine, It sounds like a waterfall also. You can imagine like that. But anyway, you can hear that. Clearly try to hear that with a relaxing body, with the idea of letting go, without any stress, and in a objective way, like in a very non-involved way. When you listen to that sound in a neutral way, you will be noticing, you must feel very relaxed. I will tell you. Wait. Look at me. Okay? You can come. Can you come? Just look at me, okay? I am relaxing, alright? Can you lift this hand up? You stand up. Can you stand up? You can lift the hand and from like here, just let go. Okay, this hand. Yeah. Lift it high up. Okay? This is some basic relaxation you should have. So, I want to try with you, we have no time, but I just want you to get, sometimes you're so holding this body. Okay? And just, you learn to relax. Leave that internal holding of the body and this effect, at least that much you must, some preliminary you must get. So when like that you must try to hear. When you're hearing, you're paying attention to the present moment, okay? And when you're really doing that, you will notice some functions of your body in a natural way, rather than me telling and then you try to focus. When you're paying attention like that, either you will hear sound in your stomach, wind or whatever, or the heartbeat, or the in-breathing and out-breathing. It will be the inhalation, in-breathing and out-breathing. Okay? Until you naturally notice that, when you're noticing it, how you're in-breathing and out-breathing, then you know you are come to the present moment. Okay? That's a good way to have some idea to bring your attention to the present moment. Alright? So then, like that only you read this, you take this book and this is a little marketing of this book, okay? After this, everybody wants in Sri Lanka also. So where's that book? I'm so happy. I didn't know I was so impactful about the book. Of course, they would know my true sincerity and truth about this. I'm not just joking about this. And in fact, after long years of spending only for this, my life, I'm bringing this out to you all. What now is the solid element? The solid element may be one's own or it may be external. This is the word of the Buddha, okay? What's happening? Something? Some fire or something? Okay, we can focus. What now is the solid element? The solid element may be one's own or it may be external. And what is one's own solid element? Okay? What is like hard nature? The bone has hard nature. Oh, they're bringing books. Don't worry, you can listen. Now you will have to search, it is in Wisdom publication and Amazon you can get also. I hope you get a link if you want to. Okay, you will not miss. This will trigger you to, this book is the one that made my teacher from a Hindu yogi to a Buddhist monk in the camp, intern camp in Dehradun. During the Second World War time, they were prisoners as he was a German. But there is the place where he found these teachings. Just this book. So the Gnanaloka, who gave him, he was also in the prison. So now when you're reading this, relax. What now is the solid element? The solid element may be one's own or it may be external. And what is one's own solid element? Whatever in one's own person or body there exists of karmically acquired hardness, firmness, such as the hairs of the head, hairs of body. Now you can visualize that. Okay? Now this karmically acquired hardness, now these bone parts and your body parts which has more hard nature, they are not coming from the sky or something. They are created by your karma. You see, Buddha nicely says, karmically acquired hardness, firmness, such as the hairs of the head, hairs of the body, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones. You picture it. Okay? You visualize it. Marrow, kidneys, heart, with red color, with blood, muscles, you can picture it. Liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, stomach, bowels, mesentery, excrement, and so on. This is called one's own solid element. Now whether it be one's own solid element or whether it be the external solid element, they are both merely the solid element. Now this is where a type of wisdom is awakening you. Okay? This is Buddha's type of wisdom. He is taking it in terms of nature. Now actually that wisdom faculty here is asleep. It's not been worked at all. So it is in fact, it's a very interesting place. Here is our destiny is also written. And this is where we can change the destiny also, our frontal cortex and our forehead. I might give you another point about this. Actually, there are certain nouns. Have you heard in the Chinese, do they have this saying like, your destiny is in your forehead? Do you have this in your old culture? No? Okay, but in Kuala Lumpur, KL, they told me there's something similar like that. There's a big wise saying about that. Your destiny is written here. Okay? Actually, the lines are there in like the rishis in India. Some of them, when they see that, they can tell you which part of your life, which time of your life, your good karmas are going to come. And there was time that in Rishikesh he passed away actually. He used to tell me, Bante, that was in 2017. When he told me that at that time, that I will have no time to come to Rishikesh or anywhere. That I will be touring. And when I was touring and lecturing or giving this teaching that time, 2017, I was remembering him. This was like few years back before he told me this. And actually in your forehead, it is certain lines and the thickness and a kind of, this thing is there, the decoding of your karma, how it works. Okay? So in the forehead also, you have this wisdom eye. Okay? When you're meditating, you're changing your destiny. When you're getting coolness in your brain. Coolness means where your anger and greed has been subdued. And then, especially when you are now analyzing, contemplating, okay, this analyzing, contemplation awakens that special part of the wisdom eye, where, that's the wisdom eye actually. Okay, that other one is samadhi. This one is the clarity, some kind of insight you are getting. Alright? So, when you are doing this, when you are doing this exercise, you are in fact, why? When you see things as they are, you get desirelessness, dispassion. How did you create karma? By passion, by attachment. So you create the opposite, be desireless, dispassion, then you will annihilate the karma. Okay? So what now? Then when, whatever in one's own person or body, there exists of karmically acquired hardness, firmness, such as the hairs of the head, hairs of body. Now whether it be one's own solid element or whether it be the extra solid element, they are both merely the solid element. That means hardness of my cheek or the hardness of the mic, if I plainly try to contemplate, think, you see, they're same. Just because it's in this space, I have thought this is mine. Okay? So, and one should understand, according to reality and true wisdom, this does not belong to me. This am I not. This is not myself. These are the words of the Buddha. So that way you eliminate this, what is hard in you, mentally, you sort of leave this body part of the hard nature. So like the liquid nature, like you have the blood running in your body and then in the tap. Okay? So if you think of the liquid nature or fluid nature of the water and the blood in you, if you just really contemplate, they are the same. Okay? So urine maybe, especially urine in your bladder, and then when it's in you, you think it's my urine. And when you put it into the toilet, it mixes with the water. So this is the way how to, when you take part by part like that, the idea of you as the body dissolves, disappears in your mind. That means ignorance disappears. Okay? Brushes, reeds and clay, even so we call body the circumscribed space that comes to be by means of bones and sinews, flesh and skin. Okay? So this is how you will contemplate. I don't want to go further, some sample, some idea. You can add this to your morning meditation. And for young people, I also want like to say, even old people, if they are still in this mistake, another sensual, you could say, a kind of thing in the modern times, I should tell this in the past programs, is regarding celibacy. Okay? It actually in the modern time in schools, nothing is taught about that. In the olden times in the schools, they saw the importance of how it nourishes the brain, and it protects the brain and gives you, it makes you a creative brain and the memory and all that when you don't arouse those strong emotions. So I think from age of 14, 15, this knowledge should be there. Okay, we didn't get this knowledge. I got it much later. I wish someone did say about this knowledge. Just like I told you about the computer games and all that. It's called NoFap. N-O-F-A-P-P. No monk will normally explain this. Okay? You can refer that in your computers or whatever, YouTube. There are so many, in the Western countries especially, there are young people who are practicing this. So as Buddhists, as who want to develop further, who want to evolve, they should be practicing this more. Not a single video in Sri Lankan language actually. I don't know in Chinese, I hope somebody will make a video for, especially for young people. NoFap, N-O-F-A-P-P. Okay? And other one is dopamine detox. Maybe you'll find so many videos under this. And then this will give you what is in the modern time blocking your way to peacefulness and meditativeness. And the other one is gaining wisdom, realization wisdom. Okay, I am here actually not to talk to you about knowledge a lot, how to realize this. This knowledge of this book is like someone would say 8th grade Buddhism. But these words have visions. They have intuitive experiences, that with meditation only you can get. So unfortunately this is not happening. So I have, in Sri Lanka now they are getting to know also that how you have to meditate with this. This was the old method, study, contemplate and practice. Experience. It's called study means you are reading this, apply, paryapti, pratipatti means application, that means you relate to you and contemplate, then prativeda means experience. It's not normal experience, intuitive. Okay? So I go for the questions. If anyone wants to ask a question, or you can stay with me until tomorrow morning. No questions, or anyone became enlightened all? Yes, please. You can have the mic, or there's a mic. Wait. Give me a few minutes. I hope, okay. I think you all might get late. I will quickly give you something, the end. We'll quickly ask the questions and this will come to an end.
My question is actually just two questions. Firstly, the importance of solitude, and secondly, the experience in the Himalaya, Mount Kailash.
Experience.
The energy.
Okay. When you just tell me that, I suddenly remember my first trip. I go to the first one first, okay? I remember my first journey, 2009. It was with another German gentleman, and we have my first trip. First we had some problems with the visa and everything. 2008, there was this Olympics, remember? There was an Olympics and there was, in China, I think. Okay? So they really stopped everybody going to Tibet. So 2009, we went. And I have heard that it is the cosmic center. Have you heard? That Mount Meru, like Kailash, is a cosmic center. Cosmic energy center. But you look at the mountain, it's not even earth center. Okay, the way you see. So anyway, when I have to climb, I have sometimes, some pain coming in my chest. It was after one of my journeys to Badrinath, or the other part of Himalayas in India, some years back. Okay, this when I used to climb kind of stairs or something cardio, where I have this, then I would get this pain, and it will fade away. So when I was climbing sometimes towards the mountain in Kailash, I was getting this pain. Then suddenly I had to meditate to get some energy. So I went inward. When I went inward, the mountain disappeared and it was like a ball of light. I don't know, like 100 suns. Like the light was emanating And he told me that that same light is in me, like a voice in my mind. Okay? So I felt like floating sensation after that experience. So I have heard that this has, this is like full of light by yogis. So now even the mountain, the mystical part is if you meditate, you will experience that. So I had that experience with that mountain one time. There are so many other experiences, but it is kind of energy. Now even Buddhagaya has that cosmic energy. Okay, Buddhagaya, but it's easily accessible, people don't value it. Other one climbing the mountain, oxygen problem, all this, and then you can die also, but it has value. So here, it's very easy, but that's why Buddha will choose definitely where that some energy place to, really do his final defeat of the Mara. Solitude, you mean the benefit of solitude, or what is it? Yeah, definitely. That I have told now, actually I don't know whether I am distracting and damaging your retreat, okay, my talking too much, as well as you also getting part, doesn't matter, you get some energy, but silence is a very important factor, especially in your talking also, and the mental silence, okay. I can tell you a lot of things about it, actually. So external silence, I have found that only in nature where there's silence that I have deep insights. Only one time in the city that I had this insight. It was in a monastery, in the veranda, like very silent place. I was doing walking meditation, and then I have read the sutta, one sutta in the afternoon, and when I was doing the walking meditation as a layperson, I had this experience. So other than that, then I can see only in silence. They say silence, God speaks. Have you heard this? Have you heard this saying? That God speaks in silence. That's why people live in prayer in silence. Okay? Same way I say Buddha also speaks in silence. Buddha means he doesn't speak as a person, the intuition. And there you will see the Buddha. These words, if you in silence that intuition takes place, you actually completely know the Buddha was real. That is the faith, real faith. Not just seeing a physical Buddha, actually. It is the seeing the Dhamma, realizing the Dhamma. So silence is very important. Now, in Buddhagaya actually the same thing happened. I was there during the Tripitaka chanting period, is there, December. Okay? So there are a lot of loudspeakers and different, Cambodia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, all these people, full sound, chanting. So I used to meditate down there, and the lady who organized is a very faithful lady, and she's a very good devotee of mine too. So she saw me and she was feeling very, guilty, like, we are disturbing Bhante. So she one day came to me and said, Bhante, we are very sorry, I hope this is all disturbing. I said, no, it's nothing disturbing. I told something like this, that attachment to silence is the biggest sound. Okay? Detaching from any kind of attachment, even to silence, is the real silence. So there is a silent space in you where it's come from detachment. Okay? That is the real silence. Sometimes you want to see Bhante or something. Maybe somebody cut across. You get super angry. Or you want to get something in some puja or something. Okay, so where you are attached, then you will be disturbed by that. If you are clever enough to see what you are attached to and let go of that and come to that silent space within you, that's the real silence. You get that? Like you are attached to some meditation experience. I can see some people, in long time ago in one ashram. So they are meditating, in that posture, and slowly some people are talking here, talking there. He couldn't bear anymore. And then suddenly, he just blasted out to those people. And then again, after that, the recovery period. And so regret and remorse and, whole thing is upset. So, anyway, I hope, you will find the way how to find your attachment even to silence or a certain way. You must learn to be humble and clever enough to find your own mistakes. Then you can, change how you look at it, and then you can, release that. Okay? Any other question over there? This one. Can you give the... is the monastery closed at 10 or 10:30? I'll have to come back here. Okay? No, I think it's okay.
My question is about the Buddha teaching. So Buddha teaching have been here with for some time already. Then the purpose of teaching also reduce the suffering of the people in this world. So it have been years then suffering have been able to reduce among the devotees. I just wonder, over so many years, there are still suffering around in this human world. Suffering, although reduced, wasn't still persist. I just wonder, is there a way that maybe a new Buddha will come in with a different way of teaching, which is more efficient, that really can reduce the suffering to even a more efficient way or more, shorten the simpler way of teaching that the human can even further reduce our suffering and more understanding of the teaching even better. Is that different and more efficient Buddha will come in?
Yeah, thank you. When you find such a Buddha, call me also. It's a good idea, very positive idea. Okay. I wish what you're telling, that the thing is, yes, that is right. Like, for example, if you find now, you can see now, the cause of suffering is your attachments. Do you realize that? So if there is some, of course, some chanting, some way, something that will, some kind of pill that you take and your attachment decreases, that's the right direction. But I can see now, I associate some other, like monasteries, I call ashramas, or like in India also where they do samadhi and all that. So I check now the type of community there, what is their joyfulness, how much their desirelessness is there. So when I compare, actually I see in some of the Buddhist institutions there's more joy and more solid, like change of transformation. Okay, compared to the modern time. Modern time is very slow. So. But I could see in my own personal practice, the insights I have got when I get from this, that really burns the desires. Okay? Like from the root. So I tell normally, like, if you have a wound, you put like Dettol. So Dettol is like, in fact, more than Dettol, before like you have a bandage. These are the rules, the sealer. Okay? So then you have also the Dettol, which is like samadhi. It burns the germs around you. And then you put the antibiotic. This is the wisdom. So I have seen people struggling with sensual desires, like who have done so many other practices. Okay, like in UK, one gentleman, after the retreat we have done, so it has a lot to do with wisdom, the original wisdom being awakened. And when he finished the retreat, because he never read so many suttas in his life in one time. So when he did that, he found that the sensual thoughts reducing. So definitely when you reduce those thoughts, if you find another way that will reduce faster, please tell me. Tonight I will come. Really. So according to my knowledge, I see this is the only way, and for my knowledge, I'm not sure. But I can't say other possibilities. But definitely, the Buddha, his teaching, especially getting wisdom from his original teaching, associating him and practicing him and making yourself meditative. Yeah, it seems like a long process, because the things sometimes we are addicted to today and kind of habits we have. But we can make one start. When you take one start towards Dhamma, 1,000 steps will come to you. That's how in the beginning when I found, slowly I became vegetarian, slowly like that, I made it a point to, then finally I want to give up cricket also. Because I knew 2 games you can't play. So one day I really made the determination to stop playing any games. Then I saw something coming to me more. So that's how I am even now practicing. I see now I make another step towards the Dhamma. I would get more, by experience I know this now. Good luck, okay? So I think it's getting late. Anyone else? The last question? No? There's another one more, okay.
Bante, how important is Nirodha Samapatti experience in a person's meditation practice?
Okay. Are you relating Nirodha Samapatti to sleep meditation or what? In meditation, if you get first dhyana enough, okay, but don't name it as dhyana. If you get that bright mind free from the hindrances, okay, when you're chanting Buddha's qualities, for example, not chanting, when you feel to the heart, the energy fields get activated. It's called Bambalapitiye. Okay, like it touches your heart and you feel like Buddha is real and alive. In that situation also you get to samadhi. Okay, that is one way. And with metta bhavana, also you can get to samadhi. Samadhi means now in the early morning, now if you try, there's a lot of possibility. Suddenly you're dozing and then suddenly samadhi comes. It's possible. You're struggling. But don't sit down if you're not fresh and strong when you're with the walking meditation. When you warm up enough, then sit down. Then you'll get result. Even if all that is not working, then read. Better to keep awake than falling asleep. So when you have done like that, suddenly you find there's a moment where you can get that touch, that samadhi thing. Okay? So in fact, Nirodha Samapatti is a very high this thing. So it's first samadhi, first dhyana is good enough to attain nibbana. Even just getting some tranquility and your mind is bright and fresh. So that means you're free from the hindrances. That is sensual desire, irritation, sleepiness, drowsiness, worry, fear. These hindrances are absent. So actually how do you overcome them? If you have these 5 indriyas, 5 faculties, practice. One is saddha, faith. So that's the one you do when you try to chant or think of Buddha's qualities, and you kind of get a teardrop. Okay, that's how the energy fields are open. That's how I think you should practice reflecting the Buddha's qualities. And the other one is samadhi. Okay, it's called saddha sati. Sati means mindfulness. Okay, that also has to be when you're getting up, when you're moving, paying attention to the present moment, what you're seeing. That you have to remind again and again, train to do that. Then you get the mind, the tireless mind. You don't get a tired mind. Okay, so this you have to try daily. If you're trying that, those 5 other hindrances won't come. Okay. Other one is samadhi. Samadhi is you have to have sessions of sitting meditation, where you forget everything around you and then focus on metta, compassion, or anapanasati. That also you must try. Then also those 5 hindrances, are controlled. And other one is, the main one out of these 5 is panya, that is wisdom. How do you get that? Now you are reading this. Okay? You are reading the ocean of wisdom. So many suttas. And try to get that type of analyzing contemplation. And when you are doing that, your wisdom faculty start to work. Okay? And the other one is called virya, very effort, the energetic nature. So that you have to think how difficult you got the human birth. How many of you in the retreat have read about the incalculable beginnings? You should have read by now actually. Okay, the first few pages of the big book. Okay, please tonight even before you sleep, try to read that. Okay, that gives you the idea of how difficult to get the human birth, consciousness. Okay, when you get to animal realm or the ghost realm or the spirit world, even those transit lounge I was telling, sometimes I have communicated in a certain way. And they tell that, they know how long they'll be there. There was one occasion for my research purpose. One time, one boy, his father, he was not speaking. To see it was somebody else. Okay? And then he said, In fact, he was a famous. The boy's father was a famous robber, drug addict. Okay, when you are a drug addict, then you have to become a robber also to support your addiction. So this boy, this father, in fact, he died running. Right on top of the roof. He has been jumping from roof to roof, and the police shot him the very place where I was talking to him. So after he died, he became, I think he became this spirit. Okay, he spoke to me like he was in that body, and he was telling, Bhante, I can't come here, it's like a lot of light all over, but because you want to research this, he was allowed to come to him and communicate this. So then before he was a drug addict or a robber, that previous life he was in fact a monk. And he said as a monk, that highest calling he didn't do properly, or it was misused. So that karma made him an addict. I can see a lot of them, like addict who get that addiction, they have that monk nature also, they have that spiritual nature also. So, and then to support that addiction, he did more karma, then he went down more further. So it's like a going down thing. So if you turn the other way around, so as a layperson or as a monk or whatever, you slowly discipline and get more close to this, purified feelings of more meditation and then wisdom, then you're going this way up. Okay? So you're already doing the retreat. Okay? And all who have come to the program also, at least they will get some knowledge. What was the question? Someone asked me something about I think you got some answer, isn't it? So first dhyana, I would say samadhi itself is good enough, but don't name it also. You can say my meditation was good. That's how we do the meditation. Otherwise, you have expectation or you have an idea, then it can cause meditation hallucination. Okay, this is my own words. It might be little, this thing to some systems of meditation, but now I'm a senior monk, I have the authority to say so. Okay, because if we don't say, or if we don't do, it's not bad, it's not good, our duty. Alright? So we make an end. Alright? So the Metta Bhavana, how to, okay, quickly we do, okay, 2 minutes. In the morning tomorrow you can try, or in another day when you feel like it. First you can relax and focus on the present moment. And without breath, relax. Like your cheeks and your body. And you can get more detached from your own body. Think of the impure parts of your body. No, it's okay. Alright, it's good. He's making it more romantic. This is what I wanted tomorrow morning, but good. So there, then you look at your own body, and the Buddha says, Rupam bhikkhave anatta, body is not yours. Why is it not yours? Apadaya is subject to affliction. Samvateya, you can't order the body. May the body be like this, may the body not be like this. You can't order it. Like when you are getting sick and you can't say, not for you not to be sick. You're getting aged, you're getting weak. You can't say, but it just happens that way. And you want to die, but the body dies. You'd rather be when the age like when you were 20, but then 30, 40, 50. So just look at that. Samvate labhyati rupe, eva me rupam hotu, eva me rupam ahosati. You can't order, so it is not yours. Vedana sanya sankhara vijnana, the 4 aggregates, feeling, perception, mental formation and consciousness, is not yours, the Buddha says. Why is it not yours? It's subject to affliction. It changes. Even a good feeling changes. Bad feeling is already bad, suffering, but a good feeling is bound to change. That's why it's suffering. Samvate labbet vinyane, you can't order the consciousness, vinyana, feelings, consciousness. May consciousness be like this, may consciousness not be like this. So if a good conscious experience comes, you can't hold it, keep it permanent. If a bad conscious experience you can't say, go away, and it goes away. You can see how impersonal all these things, experiences, all these phenomena is. With this you can release the hold of this ego, with the idea of self, to the body and consciousness. This way you have no greed, no hate, no delusion. Just think how peaceful when you have this kind of state of mind. This experience may be shared by all who are in this hall and all around this building and all in this area, Penang Island, like you're going in a helicopter, then entire Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia, Singapore, Southeast Asia, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Tibet, China, Russia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Doha, Qatar, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Mediterranean, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Canada, Australia, Taiwan, Japan, New Zealand, Indonesia, Jakarta, Sumatra, Borneo, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, North Korea, South Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, Hawaii, Papua New Guinea, Tonga, Fiji Islands, and Maldives, Seychelles, Madagascar, West Indies, Bahamas, Trinidad, Papua New Guinea. All islands, all human beings, like you are looking from outer space, the whole planets, may they be free from low greed, hate and illusion. May they attain Nibbana. Like worms you will see from outer space. Actually we are so insignificant. May all of those human beings be liberated. Not only human beings, animals. Billions and billions of animals, creatures, may they get a human birth and be liberated. And lower world than that, Vedarani, or spirit worlds, spirits, may they get a human birth. Vedarani, may they get a human birth. Paduma, Nimadar, Paduma, Avicii, may they reach a human state and get liberated. And all the other higher divine worlds, the four protective devas, Davatimsa, Tusita, Yama, Nimadaradi, they have less greed, hate and illusion. May they also completely realize Nibbana. And the highest words, Brahmaloka, Brahma Purohita, Brahma Parsat, Mahabrahma Vehapara, Abhasa Rakanita Brahmaloka, Nesanyana Sanya. This practice of conditionality, that ignorance is the cause for mental formation. Mental formation is the cause for consciousness. Consciousness is the cause for name and form. Like that, one is conditioned in the other, that there's no permanent one thing that you can call as a self. May that analyzing brings this clear vision that no self is there. May they attain Nibbana, even the highest Brahmaloka. And then you can sweep your attention back to the Devalokas and the human plane and the animal world and the lower creatures, lower beings. May they get a human birth. Again go back to the Devalokas. May they get this peace. And the Brahmalokas. like that you can spread. And then you can even leave that and watch your breath. This is for the people who have come for the program. You can start tomorrow at your home. Okay? And you all who are attending will get this practice in the morning as a recording of my in a more detailed way. So all blessings to all of you. I know you like to stay like this longer, but anyway, this experience will give you something definitely for your journey. Very nice lighting. Okay. Who did that? It's very good. Tomorrow morning you can do it, or you can also darken it further tomorrow morning. Okay. So transfer this good karma to your parents, your relations, to all living beings from the lowest to the highest. There's hardly any being who has not been your relation. Therefore, all living beings, may you transfer this merit, especially to the 32 crores of deities, Deva planes, may they receive this good karma, good things you have done. And the four protective Devas and the Deva kings and the Brahma kings, may they get all the energy, give the energy to the human plane to practice out of our suffering. And all the elders, especially the great Mahatheras who established these places, from the past, the hard work they have done, in whatever plane they are, may they receive this good karma. And seen and unseen noble beings, may they also receive this good karma. And all human beings in this particular country too, they get more inspiration and may their potential be awakened in this part of the world and other countries too. That human beings, that the Buddha's compassionate mission will be accomplished to liberate human beings through his dispensation, the sasana. Supatitva, Dukhimiditva, Nivansuravatva, Sataravaram Devuntat Sakradevantat Sampati Brahmadi Virajanmasara, Ishivar Munivar Siddhalarat Gandharuntat Bhairavuntat, Naganagita Devarajuntat Brahmarajuntat, Tistu Kotya Kalpishaki Mahishaki Samyak Dristika Devadan Masara, Evagema Me Uttavanyati Devadan Masara, Siyalu Me Adavita Rakarangina, Noperina Siyalu Tuman Mahasara, Anumodan Metva, Evana Maharasha Kalla, Nivan Magagaman Karanda, Eparana Pin Matukarna Kala. May all your merits from previous lives arise in this time, so that in this life you will make this effort out of all suffering to highest peace. Subhatatva, Dugimtitva, Divansatva, Holy Youth, may you Subhatatva, Dharme Shakti, Adorana Tulabina. And one thing I want to ask today, try not to talk tonight. Until tomorrow morning. Keep this energy with you. Alright? Take some food in the night for dinner. Alright? This is coming also from a silent zone. From the ancient masters who lived in silence. It's like concentrated of that. So keep this. It will help your path for the future. If you talk, it will go away. It will just disappear from your system. Keep it, absorb it. Okay? And may that all help you to progress on this path, out of all suffering, to highest peace, Nibbana. So, but wait 1 minute. Dharme Shakti Bhale, Yahisya Satya, Upasi Mahakaruna, Madhukarna Vastava Gwenda, Posat Karme Kod Posat Madhavaki, Ipadit, Arun, Ami Satya, Shakti Adhaya. Sansare Bimbale Matukaragana Vastava Gwenda. I hope all blessings will come to you. සිත ජීවමාන බලය මේ මනුෂ්‍ය ලෝකෙට ලැබෙනවා. මේ සියලු අහිංසක මිනිසුන්ට ආශිර්වාද ලැබෙනවා. Anybody who have a little burning problem still in their mind, they can slightly raise their hand. If you don't have any problem like that, no need. If you have anything that you feel still burning your mind or your heart, close your eyes for just 5 minutes.
understand